Yeah.
Okay. Boss moves by the legendary and yours truly, the incomparable Red Fidel, featuring my man Stick Dead Prayers. Appreciate you, Conrad. Noki, by the way, I like that video you sent me of your family, man. That was they put in that was some tight work. We live right now, knowledge. Are we live right now? Mic check, 1, 2. Microphone check, 1, 2.
Yeah, we good. I'm just waiting for this.
So we're live. We're,
Waiting for
we're
this
live
thing to
right
cycle.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're live right now.
all right. Yeah, we live right now.
Okay,
Peace to the
cool.
family. Peace, peace, peace. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode. New date, new time, new location, same dream team, one-on-one, real talk session. We got the New Order family, the not I, but we dream team in the building. We got Red Fidel. We
Peace and
got
blessings,
Noki
family.
Harden. So we're going to get this started, and I'm going to work on this song so we can kind of
That's
move it on. So
right.
let's give our brothers a chance to introduce themselves, how long they've been with the organization and, their, specific roles as it relates to the organization.
I guess I'll go and pass it to Noki. I am Red Fidel, as mentioned. I'm the national ambassador with New Order Organization. I've been with the organization about a year now. About this time last year is when I pretty much came aboard by way of my man Gerald Emerson Rose, the general, the chief, and it's been a great journey, and it definitely is something that fits into where I'm at as a person, where I'm at psychologically. Um, where how I believe, my stance on a lot of things, and just just being on the front line of injustices and trying to make a change is something that I've always been driven and had a passion for. Whether it was displaying itself through my music or my own personal stances on things, it just all really fell aligned. So I guess I say all that to say that New Order is a place that for where I'm at right now is definitely that train that I'm on and I'm riding with, and I'm glad to be a part of the organization. All in all, definitely I appreciate this opportunity. Pass that to my man Noki and let him tell you about him.
Yeah, I'm No Hard. I'm from Chicago Heights, Illinois. I've been with New Order for a year now, and just like Red, I met through brother Gerald Rose, who came out to Chicago Heights and helped my family when my brother was murdered by a Chicago Heights police officer back in 2010. When I moved down here to Georgia last year, family members told me about his service and what New Order did, and to aid and assist my family in trying to get justice. So I was proud, to meet Gerald, who struggled diligently, in his causes. And I was enlightened by his organization. So I've been a part of for a whole year now. And right now I do like economic advising for for different brothers and sisters in the organization. If they need my help, I write poetry and I write anything, to cause attention.
Okay, so different pathways, same struggle. You know, an immediate kind of impact in regards to the call to action. Like the call to action was kind of, inspired by how you was already moving, but then it's really close to home in regards to Noki's reason, like direct impact with his family. You see what I'm saying? So, with this, not I, but we dream team that we speaking about New Order. What was it about the particular family dynamics? You see what I'm saying of New Order? Because we know that's the base of where the politics begins in the home. You see what I'm saying? So this extended family and then reaching out to the extended human families, what was it about New Order that kind of set it apart from many of the other pathways that both of you brothers could have took?
Noki, I'll let you answer that one first, Noki.
Okay. Well, it gave me a platform, the struggle and strive, for a common cause. Me watching what they was doing, inspired me to want to be a part of they they uh they endeavors. So it was all about motivation. I always want to be a part of a situation where I can enlighten people's like minds. And New Orleans just gave me a springboard in order to do that. And I seen what they was doing, being positive and being a family with each other. I mean, to me, I was just glad to be a part of that. Especially where so many of our peoples have been divided by petty differences. New Orleans gave me a way to channel my feelings and my thoughts with peoples that I love, who I claim to love, but I love. So this what New Order done for me, made me a part of their family.
I could honestly say the same thing as well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Yeah, I can honestly say the same thing too. I mean, just to piggyback off of Noki, not only did it provide me with a platform, but it kind of like gave me a bigger voice, bigger than the one I had, whether it be through my artistry, through music, but it just gave me it expanded my voice on a different platform because of the type of, I would say, environments or platforms that New Order is invited to, and also that we kind of put ourselves in. So it was really all part of the ultimate plan at the end of the day, and also New Order just sometimes you see something happening that's burgeoning. A lot of times, we in this era right here, we kind of thrive off of what happened in the '60s with the Panther Party and the different parties that they kind of springboarded different things, and them times are these times. At those times back then, you had people who sat on the sidelines, and those who got on the front lines, and those who just stayed in the periphery. You're gonna always have that happen, but you got to recognize something sometimes and say, do I have the impudence to get myself involved with something, or do I continuously sit on the sidelines watching the warriors be warriors, and or I just be a viewer, or I get myself involved? There's always going to be organizations around. There's always going to be something happening. Your job is to find what works for you, whether it be you starting something or getting yourself involved with something that you see burgeoning. That's not only just burgeoning, but it's being active. It's making things happen. It's putting their actions next to their words and the whole nine. And so I say all that to say that New Order was one of those organizations that I saw the work of Gerald Emerson Rose, whether it be a 10 or 50 people. It didn't have to be that. I always see this man putting the work in for what he believes, because he believes in his people. And that's all it really takes for me. If I see someone doing the work, and I see someone actually standing behind their brand, but standing behind their cause, not only for the cause, but because, then that means something to me. I wanna walk with that type of person. So I think for me, aligning myself with Gerald is what kind of even so more so position me in the position I'm in now with New Order, and even then where I'm at comfortably with them. So it's a great platform, and that's one of the reasons why I continue to do work with them to this day, and I continue to represent them to this day as well. For me,
Okay, we're going to attempt one more time, one more again to get into this artistry because I want folks to see what's going on in regards to that, and I want to speak to it. So I want to kind of paint the picture first, and then I want to speak to it because we have two phenomenal artists on as well. You see what I'm saying? So that range, and in regards to equipping us with a proper propaganda campaign in regards to the arts and the art form.
Oh
You see
man,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
So I wanna get there. Let me get this together and see what we got.
Let's go. My circle is hard to break like tungsten. Any new member is fully vetted that comes in. I'm plugged in, it's a benefit when amongst men. Bringing the millions that generated from hundreds. Being a real boss is an attribute. With the spinning, no matter the cost attitude. Money long stretching east, western latitude. Thankful for blessings, expressing plenty of gratitude. Exotic grapes in my wine glass. Sipping on the finest, watching time pass. Head in the sky, got my nose up. Woke up laying on the cloud when I rose up. I spoke to God on the gold phone. Call me Yeshua Fidel when I phone home. I'm from the city of the gods that we call magic. MIA, where you end up in a closed casket.
The work of a hustler is never done. They gon' see you change when you never know.
Knowledge, you still there?
When you on the grind, you gotta leave all things behind. Do what bosses do. Few with the bosses, few with the bosses. You gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
So God, I'm living proof of a miracle. With perseverance, my attitude is imperial. The pen is fully mature and the flow is lyrical. Life is a stage, the role we're playing is pivotal. I am the best at this, I'll say. Plus I'm far too grown for the child's play. Solidifying when I'm gone, I am still felt. Being rich is not enough, I'm here to build wealth. For my children and my grandchildren. And for their children and their grandchildren. For a strong generation set free from any monetary struggle, living debts free. Revolution screams loud with her lips shut. You wanna see a real change? Stack your chips up. True success is attainable with a game plan. Being a boss accentuates my name brand.
The work of a hustler is never done. They gon' see you change when you level up. Sometimes when you on the grind, you gotta leave all things behind. And do what bosses do. Few with the bosses, few with the bosses. You gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
My calendar is booked, I got a full schedule. Came a long way, but it's more levels. If you try to up, life is gonna test you. But I'm cut like a diamond when I'm under pressure. Wifey rubbing my back, she say don't let it stress you. We both hustling together, we got something special. A king and queen vision, we ain't come to settle. Getting our own instead of making deals with these devils.
Knowledge. Can you still hear me? Knowledge. Noki.
Yeah, what up, bro? I'm still here.
You still here? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, man. From the first time I heard that song, man, I was really inspired by it. Hey, I was gonna try because I wanted to buy
What's that?
20 copies, but I didn't know how to do it. You know of that song? Because it was for $1. I was like, man, I can buy 20 of them. But I was gonna always ask you, man, how would I go about purchasing some of your material? Because I want to support.
you could definitely go through Spotify. I could send you a link. I could send you to my page link where I sell my link. I sell my merchandise and all that kind of stuff. So I send you to that one, and you could put in the quantity of units you want as well to purchase. So I'll do that for you.
I appreciate it, man, because I most definitely want to support your brand. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy your music, and everybody that hear it,
right,
they feel it too.
Man,
yep.
that's what it's about, man. That's what keeps me going for real in it. And it's funny that we having this conversation because I just finished the project that I've been kind of messing with for the past year or so. So I just finalized it or whatnot, and I'm putting it together, I'm packaging it now. So I'm thinking about the early June, I'm gonna go ahead and release that. And then nothing, no major marketing, anything about it. Just, for those who know what I do, I'm gonna put it out, whatever. So I got some new material I have out in a minute for you. So definitely, I think you'll be pleased with that. You'll really like the production and the direction in which I was going. So I can't wait to put it out.
Yeah, well, man, everybody that rock with us, everybody should support you. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, but how it is, man. Everybody got their own appetite.
I just say you can have a bunch of people live in the same house, but they got different appetites. So you know how that be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you become comfortable and content with what you doing, and you understand that, those that gonna like your music, and those that don't, they might still appreciate it. That's just not their taste. And it is what it is. So I just do it because definitely for the love and the passion. But I already know I got brothers like yourself who like what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing music for you. I'm doing music for all y'all boys. So I'm just really doing it for those who love what I be doing as well.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, man, being a part of New Order, man, give us that latitude, where we support one another as well. It ain't just us going out there marching and doing what we do for others. We gotta also support one another in our common causes.
I mean, that's where it started off. If we can't do that with each other, then how can we even attempt to be out there trying to do that for other people? So we have to it has to start indoors. It has to start inside in their house. If we can't support each other, brother, we're not really an organization, because the root word of organization is organized. There's no organization if we're not organized within. So we got to be organized within. So that starts with support. That starts with backing. That starts with counseling. That starts with being my brother's keeper, being my sister's sister. You know what I'm saying? So all that. So it's, all that. We got to have all that, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, man. So down to even to your poetry, but that's why I'm usually good. I'm glad when I see Gerald post it, because it gets it to all of us who are involved with the text. They get a chance to really see your poetry. You got a lot of people that probably didn't even know that you did poetry, and now they get a chance to, opportunity to hear what's going on in your mind and from a creative standpoint or place and what you thinking about and stuff like that. So, and there's always some good stuff. So it's good food for thought. So,
yeah, I just try to paint a picture for people, because when we have these dialogues, a lot of times people's don't really relate, and then they naysayers, they want to argue for the sake of arguing, and then the message get stuck in limbo or something because of the disagreement. I know we ain't gonna agree on everything, but it's certain things that we saying or see. Like, for instance, when I wrote that last piece, when Gerald asked me about the economics, and he said, give an economic report. And we already know the state of the economy. So when I wrote the piece really from the perspective of what I've seen throughout the media and the reaction of those who the camera caught.
So that's what inspired you when you wrote the last piece that he posted?
Yep.
That's good to know right there. That's real good to know. And that's something you probably can keep doing, like periodically, probably like once a month or something like that, or as you see fit monthly. You might could just start like, I a circulation of just your creative pieces. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a good way of like self-promoting, self-publishing, the whole nine. Start off with those who actually are listening and reading your stuff, and then let it expand itself outwardly. So that's a good way. I would start doing that because you already got our attention, so you know we're gonna read it.
Yeah, I guess we was trying to do too much vibing over here. You understand what I'm saying? They had booted me out the joint and everything. I had to get everything together. You see
For
what I'm
real?
saying? Yeah. So, you about to be at the top of the list of my Spotify party tonight. You see what
Oh
I'm
man,
saying? So
that's
we gonna
dope.
get some. We
Man, I
gonna
can't
get
wait to get
some.
this. I can't wait to get this new in your hand, man. I think you're gonna really be pleased with my work. It's a new.
I'm gonna be back.
Definitely.
The weekend before Malcolm X actual day. So I'll
Okay.
be back in Atlanta. What is it? The 15th through the 18th.
15th, May
So
15th through the 18th.
yeah.
Okay,
So we can set something up.
let's set up a sit down, man. I want to do a sit down with you actually and promoting of this if possible. You know, I want to.
Yeah. You already know.
That sounds
So
like something we could do. But you know, definitely on New Order News. Um, the Pamela Smith situation is definitely going accordingly. Um, they've been making some headway with that up there. Um, the, the attorneys are definitely working at hand at that situation. I guess I'm not privy to say much on it, but I just want to definitely let you know that it's moving positively. And her book is actually amazingly good. For those who haven't purchased it or gotten themselves a copy, you might want to get that. It's a very compelling story, and it's just heartfelt to really hear the story when you think about how many years have already transpired and already went by, and yet she's still on the front line, pleading her story. That's, man, it's interesting. You got to really get it if you haven't already.
most def. Brother Noki, did you have something you wanted to add in on your end from your perspective, how you see the whole thing?
Well, I really ain't, have a whole lot of information on it, but I'm for justice, you know, and I feel that the sister deserves justice, and I'm with the organization. I'm move the way the organization moving in order to try to bring justice about, to help the sister, because she's still our sister, and her fight gotta be our fight. And I'm fighting with New Order.
And that's how that's gonna go. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And that's how that's gonna go. Okay.
I know that's right. So for some of the situations, I know when we were in close contact, Brother Red, how's the landscape changed for you? What do you kind of see what's going on? And, can y'all kind of talk about the situation when with Georgia kind of like preemptive with this opening back up the state, kind of, can we talk about that, for a moment, the
We can do
effects
that.
of some of the things you see?
We can do that. Actually, it's funny you said that because I was asking myself how I felt about that. Do I think they're kind of preemptive in doing so? Part of me does, but a part of me understands why they're doing it to some degree as well. So I guess that, it just makes me kind of in the middle. I understand business, so I know that's, business. They got to do what they have to do as it relates to keeping business flowing. But then I have my questions about the whole pandemic situation, so I'm in the middle of the whole thing. At the end of the day, I don't exist from that place of fear with it, but I'm in the middle as to if it's too fast, if it's too slow. It'll all work itself out the way it's supposed to be. I guess it's the stance I'm taking. What about you, Noki? What you think about it?
Well, I think I let the government and the governors govern. Me myself, I'm just take all precautions I can to stay alive. you know, but we all know it's about money. So they opening up, them people was making 10, 20, $30,000 a day in these salons and bowling alleys and restaurants. And then you don't even talk about the major corporations that was making the millions, you know. They missing a lot of money, you know, every day. So, you know, they putting the pressure on the government to open back up so they can get their money, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the biggest impetuses I think driving the whole thing is the need to get money circulating back the way it was. So, but at the end of the day, we do have a so-called pandemic out there that's posing a threat. So I don't know. It's kind of it's an iffy situation. At this point, what have we been in control of? Nothing. So why am I going to act like I got control of this situation when I don't? All I'm gonna do is sit back and see how we gonna work through this situation because we're always adaptive and we got to acclimate to every damn change that they got going on until we actually get in a position where we can actually have our hands on the steering wheel to change. At this point, we kind of like playing the shit, riding it out. So you know, we just kind of got to see how it works at the end of the day until we're ready to snatch the steering wheel for real. So let's see how it happens.
Now they were showing some numbers, you know, over the weekend. You know, how much do either one of y'all brothers think in regards to what they're showing about new cases and things like that? With this, as that being a model for some of these other states to be justified in the extension of the time. You know, how much validity do y'all kind of see in that?
Go ahead, Noki.
Well, you know, I sympathize with the victims, you know, anybody that's affected by the virus, because they can be in a battle for their life, you know. But like I said from the beginning, they looking at the money. They ain't concerned about how many lives gonna be lost. But I believe that what we gotta do is to stay, you know, focused and aware and try to stay safe. And those who need our help, like our family members and other people's outside our family, you know, we need to just try to get them the best information we can to try to keep them alive. Because a lot of people's, man, don't have no concern about they life. They just chasing the next party or the next good time, you know. So it's not they're empathetic, you know, for the struggle, you know, fighting against this virus.
Wow. Hey, knowledge. Repeat your question one more time. Let me be concrete as to what you're asking.
In regards to the numbers, like they reported some new numbers over the weekend with, you know, Georgia opening up. And in regards to those numbers, I was asking about, you know, your vantage point on the validity of the reports and, you know, how this thing can tie in on the other end in regards to some of the other states, the surrounding states, and the country as a whole, kind of extending this, you know, shelter in place type of narrative. You see what I'm saying? So, you know,
Right.
just wanted to see your thoughts on it.
Okay. All right. To address the validity of the reports and your question, I think that here's my problem. And then, you know, when I say my problem, I want to definitely emphasize I when I'm talking about me and my with me, just me and my thoughts. I have a problem with anything that comes across the media, anything across the stations, anything across the radio, anything they're telling me, I'm always in questioning. It's just period. It's just how I'm programmed. That's what I'm doing. So in questioning that, I can never 100% believe that which I'm questioning, but I do take some of it as, let's just say, a template for fact, but it's not concrete. So being is that, does it have some validity? I think that it does have some validity, but at the same time, it might be a cake, but it might be an impossible cake. That means it may not really be real dough. It may not be such and such, but they could call it a cake. So I take it as that. Can that in those invalid and slash valid numbers, can they have an influence on how other countries may see the numbers and be like, oh, okay, since the United States is having no problems, since they've reopened, let's go ahead and reopen again. Possibly so, especially since our dollar and our currency is pretty strong in other countries. definitely, and we influence a lot of the economy. I could see that happening, but I also see where also that it can go south and it can cause people to go into more of a hysteria to where they can even extend the extension and people really even take the lockdown to a different place of a frame of thought. So just got to see how it plays itself out because at this point Governor Kemp has already decided what he's going to do. So we'll see how it goes. And somebody has to be the testing ground. Why they chose Georgia, I don't know what that's about, but we'll see. Definitely we'll see. So yeah, I think it does have some validity, but at the same time, again, I'm kind of like one of the people questioning everything. So, it does and doesn't to some degree. Doesn't have enough validity to govern my life, put it that way. Not to have me in a state of panic or fear, nothing like that. So that's the part it has no validity in. If all of that ramble made sense, I know
All right, all right, all right.
I kind of went into it.
Now, kind of personal situations in regards.
Your phone went out. I can't hear you. I don't hear your audio. I hear somebody breathing. Somebody breathing.
So when we're dealing with fear, we're dealing with it from a multitude of levels, but the main level that presents is from a psychological level.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So when we're dealing with the psychology of fear itself,
that's right.
You see what I'm saying? We look at it and see how it manifests, and it manifests in a collective, a certain kind of way, but individualistically, you see the fear template being pushed. You see what I'm saying? So with the prolonged exposure to the situation, we're going to have some post-traumatic stress ramifications around something that we may never know the validity of its existence or not. You see what I'm saying? So in regards to folks who have lost loved ones, in this struggle, folks who have lost their wherewithal in that regard. You see what I'm saying? As this whole thing's situated, like even with expectations, things that you could used to be able to count on, like a graduation, so it affects, many people and many families across the nation on a multitude of levels. So the psychology is something to where we should be looking for, in placement, whether it's virtual or physical, to be able to have a safe space where the dialogue can be effective. I know I want to talk to some of the businesses, some of the brothers and sisters that are in business, and how they were able to cope with some of these times. You see what I'm saying? To give them a space to say like what's really expressed. We got mom and pop shops that may not ever be able to open again because of a 2-month delay and how that affects them. You see what I'm saying? And their future endeavors and the endeavors of their family. So that psychology of fear has other undercurrents that are there to where, these issues that need to be addressed, with our folks that are here, that are out, and then our brothers and sisters that are behind enemy lines further, in these private prisons and, and the like.
That I totally agree with you on that.
Well, a lot of our brothers, especially coming out of, impoverished brothers and sisters, become fearless. They endured so much, and they ain't afraid much. But fear, the way I look at it, I'm not afraid. I'm just cautious. So I take the necessary steps to try to prepare myself, to be able to amount the challenge, whatever the challenge may be. In this case, it's the virus. But a lot of our people, and maybe it might be due to ignorance that they're not taking it serious. So they are not afraid. But fear is not something that I subscribe to. I just, call it awareness. So I try to be aware. Just like if I was somewhere in like a jungle and I know it's wild animals here, I'm not gonna be afraid of them, but I'm gonna be aware of them, and I'm gonna take the precautions that's necessary. If I gotta grab something out the elements, the challenge them, and that's where we at with this virus. And those who are losing their livelihood, their property and stuff like that, and going into debt because they can't, pay their bills. This is the economy we live in, and we got to learn from this situation right here. Because I tell my wife all the time, we need just in case something happen money. So you got to have money put up or put to the side for these situations. But could none of us predict this? And then on the flip side, like Red said, we don't control this game. They the controllers of it. So whatever happened, we can't really fault ourselves for it. It's just the nature of this beast.
Facts. That's what I'm talking about. Facts. Church. Straight facts. Until we put our hands on the steering wheel, brother. We ain't even in the car no more. They got us in the trunk. We riding in the trunk.
If we ride in the trunk, with James Bird's situation, he wasn't so fortunate.
He wasn't fortunate at all. They still dragging people.
They still dragging
people. Jasper, Texas need to be slapped for that. They still need to be slapped for that. But yeah, I definitely feel y'all brothers, man. I feel you all the way live, man. Totally. This virus thing is I look at it like this too, man. And I'm kind of history buff, and I'm in order for sometimes what I try to get across to be effective, I make light of it to some degree where it goes out palatable. But I look at it like this too, man. We said it's a lot taking place, and but there was a time that we read about in books, no matter what that time could have been, whether it be in your Bible, whether it be in a historic book, where you could have been reading about Timbuktu. You could have been reading about ancient Kemet. You could have been reading about the great Babylonian period. You could have been reading about the Kush period and different great Ethiopia and great kingdoms just all around. But there was a time when those people in those kingdoms, they never thought they'll see the time when their kingdom would be no more. So it's like we live in this mindset like this is our forever, or it's going to just be this is what we're going to know. Things change, and what we're watching is changing of guards, kingdom changes, whether it be through currency, whether it be through mandates, whether it be through policy. But it's always going to happen. This is what makes history. 50, 100 years from now, our children's will be reading about this current time as history, same way we looked at some of our history as history. It's just all history that's being made, and it's just going to happen. And we're going to keep changing DNA-wise, RNA-wise, people-wise, all kind of wise. But it's how do we now get ourselves and position us to be more on top, and we're not the bottom of the rung on the ladder. And so it's like us convening and coming together to really build a nation within this nation to some degree. But it may call for the debunking or fall of this Babylonian empire in order for something new to come out of it. I'm not saying with this COVID is that. I'm just saying that we're witnessing something taking place that really is part of the change in history, and that's what won't allow me to be standing from a panic place with it. I'm looking at it from like a historic eye, like, damn, this is what's taking place. But at the same time, I don't like the injustice that's taking place as far as the disparaging injustice between the law and our people and different things of that nature. But we're also watching history take place, and I want to be on the front end of it from a spiritual place for my children's whoever I might come back through. You know what I'm saying? So it's a situation where it's, and I'm just, I don't know, maybe that's just me and where I'm at. I'm kind of, I'm kind of gangster nerd like that, but, it's, just looking at it from a deeper place, man. It's a lot taking place that, that the intangible realms gotta a say in that people don't speak about the intangible powers of a lot of this taking place. So we know energy is everything. So I'm just trying to see where it's gonna go, gentlemen, and we'll see. The strong shall survive. I will say that, and I will say I did lose a family member from the COVID virus. So early on, about 4 weeks ago, I lost a family member from it. So I do know that part of it is valid. I do believe that it is a virus that it definitely can be very lethal for those who may not have a system to protect themselves from it. I don't know the medical situation with my kinfolk, but evidently, she, transitioned because of it. So I know that part of it is real, but at the same time, I do know there's a lot of hoopla surrounding it that I can't really buy and I can't really swallow. So I'm just not going to subscribe to that. But yeah, man. Hey, man, why y'all got me talking, man? Y'all always get me talking. Y'all take over and talk.
Yeah, I mean, I everything you were saying, man, was very interesting. But I lost my auntie. She passed away too. She was off up in the nursing home out there in Chicago,
Yeah.
and she wound up passing away. And it's the whole thing, man. You just surprising how many
Yeah,
people's man and lost their life.
it's a lot of people.
I'm talking about just
it is a lot of people lost their life,
for this virus,
it
and
really is.
the numbers is astronomical.
Yeah, the numbers
And
is.
it can get worse. But the whole thing is that you got people's, especially like the grocery stores, man, they trying to make a mint off this situation. I don't understand why the groceries is high, and you still want to hold people's foot to a fire for a bill that they gonna be behind, and they can't have no income. $1,200 ain't went nowhere, and the unemployment checks and all that stuff gonna go directly to feed a family.
Well, that's part of the crashing of the market. The next thing that's about to happen is the market crash. I think we had a bad situation in 07 and 08 with that. It's something about to become. It's something that's about to even be worse than that. But in time will tell. But all that's part of the economy crash that's going to take place with the currency. But yeah, we'll see how that plays itself out. But here's the flip side of that. It's forcing a lot of us now to plant food, to do for self, to explore other alternatives that we wouldn't have done before. So I see it from the positive state of it all too, is because we can't really. How can you continuously rely on someone to feed you? I mean, like as light as trivial of a thought that may sound, because we don't think about it because we've been trained and programmed all our lives to go to the store and get something to eat, or somebody gonna feed us in some way or fashion. But really, we don't really take care of ourselves. You say you take care of yourself by going to get other people's product to take care of your body, but you don't take care of yourself by planning the food that you actually ingest and put in your body. It's absurd to me even to think about that logic behind that. So to really take care of yourself, we're gonna have to really learn how to at least put something in the ground, tend to it, and grow it for the nutrition for ourselves. And that's gonna come when we can't afford their food and we can't trust what they're feeding us off no more anyway. And it just comes time to really know something that's valuable and invaluable to not us just but our progeny and our children, and pass something on. So we gotta learn and that's why I believe it. That's why I believe in community farms. Community farms, I think, are essential. I think every community really needs a community farm that people actually like. They got HOAs. They should have HOA situations for community farms where each household, kind of plays into it, or it's a co-op situation like Seven Under stores where the community is actually invested into it. And, if you have children in your household and your child kind of like has a time when they got to come and they got to put some work into the farm, such and such, where everybody kind of like equally gets knowledge of how to horticulture and how to agriculture, how to plant something. Even if you don't want to do it, you have an understanding of it just in case you had to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. I think that we need to change a lot of those dynamics. So I don't know. I agree that the food is too high, and we'll see where that's going to go. But it was poisoning us all along anyway. They need to be high. It need to be you know what I'm saying? So like I'm looking. I don't know. I'm just seeing it from a different angle. Like I see something else happening here that can really benefit us on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll see. We got to let the smoke clear first. Let the smoke clear first. So we'll see how it goes. I guess that's why I wear these four eyes. What's I got? I guess I got 4 eyes, 6 eyes.
Right.
Oh man, I ain't pulled this
So
out yet.
closing remarks. You know what I'm saying? And anything y'all want to plug? You know how people could get in touch with New Order Human Rights, National Human Rights Organization, and the like. So if we could get that info, and we could wrap this up.
Of course, New Order Organization. New Order. Let me say it correctly because I say it the short term. I say New Order Organization, but it's actually New Order Human Rights Organization. And you can reach us by 1-800-346-5138. That's our 800 number. Call that number, and it will route you to whatever department, whatever I would say place you might need to, get to it and who you're trying to speak with or whatnot. Again, that number is 1-800-538. I'm sorry, 346-5138. 1-800-346-5138. Look forward to hearing from you, Mr. Noki.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I appreciate the invite, and man, yeah. If anybody, our assistance, New Order is geared up for the fight. That's all I can say about that.
And as Noki, just to echo what he said, we always are geared up for the fight, ready to fight, standing on the front line, ready to fight. And Knowledge can tell you that. Knowledge has seen us in action. He's seen us working. He's seen us actually putting our doings where our mouthing is at. I would say it that way. And I want to actually send a shout out to my New Order staff, also to the General Gerald Rose, again to my partner and collaborator, Mr. Noki, Greg Giles, Sherry, who didn't make it. I know you're here in spirit. Until the next time, sister, and all the rest of the New Order members. Salute to you all. Great work, great job, and let's keep fighting for justice. Peace from the ambassador, Red Fidel.
All right. Peace.
We out of here, y'all. Peace.